For example 3 in day 5 notes, we're going to be writing equations. So for this one, we are given the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is -5. So we know slope is represented as m, the y-intercept is represented as b. So I have to decide, am I going to use slope-intercept form or am I going to use point-slope form? Well, it makes sense to use SIF because I'm given the slope and the y-intercept. So this is the equation. I now need us to plug the 3 in for m and the -5 in for b. And that's it. Now in part B, I'm given a point and a slope. So slope is m. If I'm given a point, that's going to be your x1, y1. And if I tell you I'm giving you a point and a slope, it just makes sense to use point-slope form. So this is your point-slope form. Okay, and we discussed on the front side what you're only plugging into, which are these 3. So I'm going to do y minus. Well, y1 is 5. M is 2. And then x minus x1 is -1. Now, on the front side, when we graphed it, we said that if I give you the equation, when you take the x and the y out, it changes sign. So you can look and see, when I plugged this +5 in, it became negative. When I plugged the -1 in, well, these two negatives become positive. So that becomes a +1. So there are two things here. One, you can leave your equation like this, because this problem just says write an equation of a line through this point. That's acceptable. But sometimes the directions will say transform or change your answer to slope-intercept form. So if I was going to go from this to SIF, I need to distribute. So I would say y minus 5 equals 2x plus 2. And then I can add my 5 over to this 2 because it's a like term, and I would get 2x plus 7. So this is point-slope form. This is slope-intercept form. Okay, it's really not that hard to transform it, but you do need to know how to do that. Okay, the last one that goes with this type of problem writing is if I give you 2 points, how do you come up with an equation? Well, first of all, in either problem that you do up here, you were given the slope. And I don't have a slope here. So that's your first priority, is to figure out slope. And I'm going to go back to the very first example we wrote down. I'm going to go back to this equation right here. So I label my points x1, y1, x2, y2. And I am going to plug that in to this formula. So 5 minus a -1. And then for x is 3 minus 2. So here we have a plus, and here we're just going to keep a subtraction. So this would be 6 over 1, which is a 6. So that's my slope. M is 6. 2, now that I have the slope and I have this point, I have enough things to make point-slope form. Okay, so it's just like this problem now. Point and slope, plug into point-slope form. So here's point-slope form. Remember, we only plug in to the y1, the m, and the x1. So let's do that. We've got y minus. y1 is -1. Slope we found was 6. X minus x1 is 2. So I can change that to a positive. And I could leave it in point slope form because the directions didn't say which way I wanted the equation in. So this is the PSF form. If I wanted SIF, slope intercept form, I could go ahead and distribute and then subtract that 1 over and get y equals 6x minus 13. I do believe that the test asks you to put things into slope intercept form, so you will be having to transform it often.